The following story contains adult language, sexual content, some violent situations, strong sounds, and intense psychological subjects which may be disturbing for some listeners. It is not intended for children, therefore, discretion is strongly advised. Within a year since the gaming console known as the Ultra Reality Suit was released to the public, a 28-year-old man who became very fond of this new device savagely beat a woman to death while playing a game that allowed users to design their own characters and settings in an enhanced, four-dimensional virtual reality universe. The perpetrator of this horrific act is Malcolm, and he is currently in custody while investigators gather evidence and testimonies to present their case in court. What has baffled everybody is how was it possible for a gamer to inflict so much harm onto another person while engaged in an activity that normally detaches players from the real world. This being the first case of its kind, authorities believe that similar homicides may happen soon, as the Ultra Reality Suit continues to be the most commercially successful entertainment console on the market. A group of behavioral scientists who took interest in this case haven't ruled out the possibility that the manufacturers of this device may have given customers too much freedom in the type of games players are able to design themselves, or how much real-life scenarios they can experience upon wearing the suit. What is known thus far is that the game Malcolm programmed for his own amusement consisted of kidnapping, torturing, and taking physical advantage of a digital avatar he created, one that he named Cassie. This was made clear when data technicians were able to extract and analyze the memory hard drive. This may be difficult to believe, but according to Malcolm's statement on the night of his arrest, he was allegedly not aware of his actions until the moment he was ambushed by police. You are about to hear the events that led this man to commit a horrendous act that has stunned his entire community. This is Malcolm's Reality, a Fiction Madness production, written, edited, and produced by yours truly, Don Luis Zavala. "28-year-old Malcolm lived with his mother in the basement level of a low-income condo. Her lifelong addiction to alcohol and smoking rendered her permanently incapacitated and dependent on government assistance. Malcolm couldn't stand her presence and rarely paid any attention to her when they were in the same room, as he blamed his bad luck on her destructive behavior. Although his biggest wish was to move into his own place, his minimum wage job as an usher at a movie theater and his endless love for gaming and virtual reality consoles prevented him from achieving financial independence. The opportunity technology offered him to forget about his loser lifestyle, and the fact his mother's disability benefits meant he didn't have any bills to pay, all of it was too enticing to abandon. Having no real friends and only followers on the internet who applauded his negative outlook on capitalism and the environment, Malcolm's routine was very simple: work, gaming, self-pleasure, and sleep. And often in between those activities, he contemplated on the one person he loved unconditionally, a special someone he hoped to reunite with and make her happy. Her name was Cassie, a former high school classmate whom he has had a crush since sophomore year. Cassie was the all-around beautiful American teenager whom every alpha boy in school competed for like gladiators eager to conquer the Empress. When Malcolm first laid eyes on her, he didn't think much of her, except that she was quote-unquote smoking hot. Knowing that girls like her would never fall in love with rebellious souls like him, he shoved her aside as another entitled, arrogant white girl. However, a brief exchange between them outside the school library instantly changed Malcolm's perception about her. On a Tuesday afternoon, during study period, Both he and Cassie were seated at separate tables writing papers and preparing for a math test. After Cassie finished, she picked up her belongings but forgot to take her cell phone and left it on the table by accident. Malcolm noticed it. He grabbed the mobile device and rushed out into the hallway to call her name.
Wait, Cassie?
Yeah.
Is this your, cell phone?
Wow, yes. Wait, where'd you find it?
You left it in the library.
Cassie was shocked to see her phone in Malcolm's hand, but she was so thankful that he brought it to her.
Well, that's sweet of you to bring it over.
She leaned forward and gave him a friendly kiss on the cheek. This was the one and only time Malcolm had been kissed by a girl. Unfortunately, he interpreted it the wrong way.
Oh, my God. She loves me. She really, really loves me.
From then on, he couldn't remove that momentous occasion from his head. And late at nights, he would spend hours turning over in his bed, trying to decipher what it all meant, and what were his prospects of romancing a girl as stunning as her. The more Malcolm thought about Cassie, the more he concluded that he had an excellent chance of making it with her to the altar, followed by making love to conceive children together and moving into an opulent Manhattan apartment. These thoughts bestowed the greatest solace Malcolm had ever experienced. But during school, Cassie completely ignored him when they were near each other's presence. She would occasionally fall into the arms of popular athletic boys and engage in passionate kissing.
You taste so good, baby.
And letting herself be touched in public.
Motherfucker. You'll never love her the way I do.
This was aggravating for Malcolm, whose consciousness sadistically tormented him with the expectation that Cassie held secret feelings for him, but that for some reason she refused to tell him. And instead of approaching her to say hello or initiate a friendly conversation, Malcolm always caved in out of fear that she might humiliate him.
What if I don't see her again? What if we never talk to each other again?
The years passed, and long after having graduated high school, Malcolm checked almost every 30 minutes her Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, essentially all of her social media pages, and analyzed every photo she posted, every status she updated, but more importantly, every man who commented on her posts, because he needed to know if she had slept with someone yet. It was comforting to think that she would save herself for marriage, in particular for Malcolm. In fact, he proudly forewent dating any female because he couldn't picture himself happy and whole with someone other than Cassie. He was willing to sacrifice everything for the girl who, for a heartbeat moment, made him feel loved. This unrealistic attachment continued for 10 years, and his need to remain in the shadows, browsing every piece of content she shared online, granted him a piece of information he found valuable: Cassie's favorite coffee shop. Malcolm assessed if it was a good idea to frequent the place and bump into her accidentally. But just like in high school, Malcolm automatically dwelled in fantasy and never made a decision. He was much more interested in saving money to buy a revolutionary gaming console that would become the next generation of virtual reality. It was called the Ultra Reality Suit. It consisted of a coverall made of black rayon, a hood, and a facial mask with screen goggles. And on the inside of the suit, an assortment of electrodes would release harmless charges to the person's neurological points and make every virtual reality experience feel close to 100% real from head to toe. Customers could already place an order online, but Malcolm needed to work extra hours to be able to afford this $1,000 equipment. When he first learned about the Ultra Reality Suit, he marveled about how many situations he could experience for real, As someone who has never had intimacy, Malcolm wondered if he would be able to experience the authentic, gentle touch of a beautiful woman in that suit. Perhaps, he thought, he could design an exact avatar of Cassie in his console.
Hello, my name is Cassie. Malcolm is the man of my life.
And use the ultra-reality suit to be with her in every setting he had daydreamed all these years. Malcolm calculated he would be able to afford the suit in about 4 months. In the meantime, he still had the opportunity to bump into Cassie at her favorite coffee shop, which was located a gruesome 40 miles from where he lived. And when he made it there, Malcolm kept busy pretending to be working or studying on his laptop while keeping an eye on everybody who walked in through the entry door. He spent entire days at that shop, from opening hour until it closed.
She'll thank me again for finding her phone. I know she will.
A few weeks later, Cassie had yet to be seen. He considered giving up the attempt, as the cost of fuel to drive there and ordering something to eat wasn't helping him save money for the ultra-reality suit. Malcolm decided to give it a few more days, until, by some miracle, Cassie showed up. She looked far more stunning than during high school. Wearing a green tank top, dramatically exposing her cleavage, tight jeans that lined her wide hips, and wavy blonde hair that cascaded down to her shoulders and back.
Oh my God. She looks so beautiful.
She waited in line to order something, sustaining her gaze on her phone, while Malcolm struggled as if he was on the verge of making a life or death decision. Nonetheless, he understood that he may not have a second chance at a random encounter with Cassie.
Cassie?
Yeah.
Remember me? Malcolm, from Monroe High.
Right. I'm sorry, but
I once found your phone. In the library.
I am really sorry, but I don't. Please excuse me.
Malcolm felt as if the entire cosmos came crashing down onto him, smothered by the weight of unremitting humiliation.
After what I did for you, you just walk out on me? You stupid bitch?
From the moment Cassie left, an overwhelming sense of deadness engulfed him, as if his heartbeat had lost power, but his body miraculously kept moving like a living dead person. On his long drive back home, he no longer held any affection for her or anybody, plagued by the thought that every minute he spent musing about her, all of it had been for nothing. He had hoped that by successfully starting a relationship with Cassie, his life would turn around and abandon the sad environment he shared with his sick mother. But upon returning home to the same knackered basement apartment he had been living in for most of his life, Malcolm stepped in through the door as someone changed. Someone whose heart was now filled with desires to destroy. But he didn't know the first thing about how to take a life, not to mention he didn't want to end up in prison. However, there was one way he could validate all of his vengeful feelings and set up mock situations where he could cause enough harm and never get in trouble with the law. To do so, he would have to purchase the ultra-reality suit as quickly as possible. And he did a few months later. With his new console, Malcolm could abandon the treacheries of the real world and design a macrocosm he could manipulate at his will.
Fuck yeah.
Even better, the suit delivered on its promise. The electrodes on the inside of the outfit made perfect contact with the user's neurological system. Wearing it felt like stepping into a parallel universe where Malcolm could hear, smell, see, and touch, every detail displayed in that digital world. He would move his arms, legs, and torso, immersed completely in the scenarios he programmed.
If only I could live in this suit for the rest of my life.
As soon as he got a good grasp of the system, Malcolm wasted no time in creating a four-dimensional avatar of Cassie.
Hello, Malcolm. I know I have been really bad to you. Do to me all the things I deserve.
Oh, you bet I will.
And did with her all the things he wished he could do in real life. Until all of a sudden, he was pulled out of the suit by an assembly of men in uniform, and he was taken into custody. Malcolm's rights were never read, nor was he told the reason why he was handcuffed and charged for homicide. Nothing about what he was told in the interrogation room made sense. But according to the authorities, they were simply answering complaints from neighbors about a woman screaming and crying for help. And they discovered that Malcolm had killed his mother in the same fashion he hurt Cassie in the ultra-reality universe. He had no memory of ever doing such a thing. This was Malcolm's Reality, a Fiction Madness production, written, produced, and edited by yours truly, Don Luis Zavala. Copyright holder of this piece, released in 2022, all rights reserved. Thank you for listening.